Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Moving Pictures Kenya. In this edition of Eyeing the Dream, we are focusing on the nurses. For any nurse to practice as a nurse in the USA and Canada, they must have passed an exam called NCLEX. To tell us more about this NCLEX exam, I'm joined by Faith Joy Gakii, popularly known as Kiki.
I think the first step for most of us is going through the CGFNS, getting documents verified to make sure your education in Kenya is equal to the education to the standard of education in the US. By the time you're doing the CGFNS, you pick a board of nursing that you work with. So if you pick Texas, Illinois, Pennsylvania, so that board of nursing is what will give an authorization to test for you.
Just take us through the NCLEX process from the time you qualify as a nurse until you pass the NCLEX. What are the requirements, and then what is the process?
So basically, about NCLEX is an exam that helps you get registered as a nurse in the United States. So for Kenyan nurses, the approach is first and foremost, there are two ways of going into this. You can decide to start the NCLEX process as an individual candidate or get an agency to walk you through the process. So when you have to do it through an agency or through as an independent candidate, I think the first step for most of us is going through the CGFNS, getting documents verified to make sure your education in Kenya is equal to the education to the standard of education in the US. So there's a page called CGFNS. It's just a body that validates and verifies your documents. So that's usually the first step. You go open an account with them. Once you pay the money that you're supposed to pay, around $395, you're able to download the document that you take to Nursing Council. So Nursing Council is able to send them documents directly for your certification. Then there's also another one you take to your school where you studied, either KMTC or a university or a private nursing school. They fill it up for you and they send it directly. You're not the one who sends it. So once they send it to CGFNS, they take some time. Currently, they're taking quite a while. Then they validate it. Once they validate it, they give you something called a CES report. The CES report, now from there, you're sure your documents are validated. The next process is of course, preparing for NCLEX also has two ways. If you're doing with an agency, they'll buy for you the revision materials. There's UWARD, Kaplan, Archers, Nurse Achieve. There are so many of them. Depending on the agency, they'll buy that for you and monitor your revision every day until the moment they are confident you're ready to do exam. At the end of it, there is some exams they give you to be sure this person, when we send them to do the NCLEX, they are going to pass. Once you've done those exams and they are ready, they get something for you, something called authorization to test from your board of nursing. By the time you're doing the CGFNS, you pick a board of nursing that you work with. So if you pick Texas, Illinois, Pennsylvania, so that board of nursing is what will give an authorization to test for you. Then once the authorization to test is there, now you are given days to choose from. Whether for Kenyan, mostly we do South Africa or India, depending on available dates. So you can choose either of them. Then you go to do the NCLEX. So generally the approach of the NCLEX currently and after COVID, they lowered the questions to 145. Initially it was 265. So this is an exam. You go into a room, sit down in front of a computer and start doing the exam. Once you're doing the exam, for every question you're doing, they are marking for you. When they mark for you, they are like your answer for these questions determine the next question you're going to get. So there are two ways into this. The minimum questions you can do in NCLEX is 75, and the maximum you can do is 145. So as you're doing the exam, the computer will get to after 75, the computer can shut at any point. The point at which it's shutting is that the computer is sure even if you go on doing this exam, you're going to pass, or even if you go on doing this exam, you're going to fail. So at that point, the computer shuts. Now you wait you can either wait for 48 hours to get results from your agency, or you can actually do something we call a Pearson VUE trick. Pearson VUE is the body that is responsible for giving the ATC and everything else. So when you do the trick, there's a way you do it to get to know actually whether you have passed or failed, depending on the last message they're going to give you. So, but again, you can also go up to 145. So when you go to 145, is usually you have really fought a good fight. So you can finish at 145 and pass or and fail. And in between here, the computer can also shut at the point of confidence that even if this person goes on doing this exam, we have evaluated them up to 95 questions. We know if they continue doing this exam, they are going to pass. Or if they continue doing this exam, they are going to fail. So the computer does not keep wasting time for you. But if it feels you keep trying, you fail this question, pass this question, it will continue giving you chances until you get to 145. So after you have done your NCLEX and jetted back to Kenya, the feeling, of course, is always there if you have passed or failed. So it's a mixed emotions. Then from there, now you start the rest of the journey, the immigration journey. Now this is where it starts officially.
Yeah, I think before you go to immigration, you need to tell us about, you talked about the board, the various boards. What are these boards? Is it something like, I don't know, you need to clarify.
So the board of nursing are the state's board. So in US, every state has a board of nursing that regulates nursing in that state. So when you choose a state like Texas as your board of nursing, they are the people that will get your CES reports from CGFNS and get to know that this person has been cleared by CGFNS to go on, and we can now start preparing them and preparing their documents for NCLEX. So every state has its own board of nursing. Yeah, that is that's the board of nursing. So these are the people that everybody comes to the different board of nursing. For most individuals, I see those who are going independently are going through the Texas Board of Nursing. I think the registration is easier. For those going with agencies, some agencies will purely work with a certain state only, like Illinois, Arkansas. Every agency works with a different board of nursing. New Mexico, and an agency, I think they chooses a board of nursing based on maybe agreements with them or less complexities because they are dealing with a big number of people.
Okay, and then there's something else that you need to clarify is on somebody who wants to sit for NCLEX. What are the qualifications? So
before I go to that, there's something else I mentioned. So I talked to Janet to the NCLEX. I said you can go as a private candidate or through an agency. So when you go through as a private candidate, you're going to do all this for yourself. You're going to source for the board of nursing, follow up papers for yourself, do the CGFNS for yourself. If it delays, you're the one who is going to follow up for yourself. But it's not as complex it's not as complex at that point. So you can either do individually, independently, or through a nursing agency. But mostly after the NCLEX, most of us will now go to the point of getting an agency to get for you a job in the United States. So your other question was who qualifies to do NCLEX? Any nurse that is a registered nurse in Kenya, most agencies will want you to have at least 2 years of experience post-training. Some are a bit lenient. They can even take an year, but mostly for the US is 2 years of experience. So it has to be anybody that has a diploma, the KRCHN, or a degree, the BSN. Unfortunately, I do not know of any nursing agencies that are taking the certificate nurses. So you have to be either those of them, and you have to be registered with the licensed with Nursing Council of Kenya. Because I know there are people who would want to do this, like when you do BSNs, if you don't finish internship, you don't get licensed, but some people still practice. You have to be licensed by the Nursing Council, because Nursing Council has to send your documents here. The body here will not accept you until they have like this person is a legal licensed nurse in their country. Yep.
And then something else that you also need to clarify is why is the exam in India and in South Africa only? Why not sit for the exam in Kenya?
Yeah, because this is a bit of a controlled exam. We know US with all the control, with all the wanting things to be like legit. So they cannot have centers everywhere, because these centers are manned by their own people. The center in South Africa, if you go there, you find people from the US are the people that are working there. So I think it's just maybe for them, or something that is convenient for them to have something that they can that they are able to like control well. That's why for Africa, unfortunately, for the longest time, we did not have any center. The South African center came in October 2020. Before, everybody was going either to India. If India is backed up, you go to Philippines, or if you have a visitor's visa, you could drive yourself, you could fly yourself to the US and do it there. So I think it's a matter of the body, because it's controlled by the Pearson VUE body, and I'm sure it's an expensive thing to have these centers. That's why they do not have centers everywhere. And also, I think they consider having centers in countries that are more stable in terms of security and so many other things. Yep.
And then now the final question is on the result. You know, when you sit, you can either pass or fail. So when you pass, you move on to the next stage. But suppose somebody sits and she doesn't succeed, what is the way forward?
If you do not succeed, that's not the end of the journey. You go back again, start the revision. So at this point, you're going to pay again some money to the Pearson VUE. You're not paying anything for the CES, because that one takes some years before it expires. So you pay like I don't know the exact amount. I think it's $200 for the Pearson VUE, and also some money for the NCLEX itself, exam itself. Then you get another authorization to test. Then you go again and do the exam. I've seen people who have passed on their third attempt, others on their second attempt, so others of course on the first attempt. So it depends on so many things. So if you fail, you still go on and do it again and again. Yeah, there are people who have really done that exam. For my friends, I think the one I know has done it, passed on the third ones. Yeah, here in the US, I know there are people who do it up to 7-10 times. Yeah, so it's not like the hand I have failed, I am done. No, once you failed, you still go ahead and retest again. It's quite an expensive affair, because if you are with an agency, the retesting, they would pay for your flights, they would pay for your hotel, they would pay for the exam or the Pearson VUE. You're going to do everything, pay for yourself. But most of them, once you pass, they like do some amount of reimbursement. Of course, they appreciate your effort to have taken this journey again on your own and passed.
Okay, as we conclude, maybe you can give a message to nurses out there who want to sit for NCLEX.
Yeah, it is possible, it is manageable, it is intense. It's not a walk in the park. Revising for NCLEX, sometimes you feel like you might blow off, because this is a new exam. It is so different from whatever we have done in Kenya. Even if you got all good scores back in Kenya, NCLEX is a different journey. You cannot use the knowledge you have from Kenyan nursing to the NCLEX. You have to read a whole bunch of books to understand how nursing is done in the US. So it is possible. You need to be an open-minded person. Again, you need to be in an hospital that is giving you experience, so that you're able to approach these questions. Because again, if you do not have like an experience from some good hospital, if you're working like in a level 2, level 3, where you just dispensing medication, even when it comes to NCLEX, sometimes you might have challenges. But if you're smart, you can still act through. So nurses can do this. Yeah.
Okay, I want to thank you for your time. Maybe you need to tell the nurses out there what you'll be talking about in the next episode.
So the next episode, I'm going to tell you about the journey after NCLEX. You've passed NCLEX, all the way to to getting your visa. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, and by the way, Kiki is starting a YouTube channel. So remember, once she starts, you need to support her the way she's supporting you all the time. Support her, subscribe, so that she gets to 1,000 subscribers as early as possible.
Oh yeah, thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, sure. I'm opening my own YouTube channel soon. There's too much pressure from everybody. Oh, you give us information. It's time. So once I hope you support me once I open the YouTube channels and ask questions. Of course, I'm always willing to answer questions when I am available, because time is a bit restricted, but I try to answer as much as I can.
Thank you so much, Kiki, for that insightful interview. In the next episode of Eyeing the Dream, we shall be looking at the nursing agencies. There are two types of nursing agencies. So Kiki will tell us on how or the benefits of the nursing agencies.